It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, welcome everyone to the Sam Lesante Show. Folks, how many times you're having a conversation with someone and you know you're in this deep conversation and then when you're done you're saying, and that's the way it is, all right? Well, thinking for years about doing a show that presents facts and just so we could think about different things and hopefully make our world and our country a lot better. And that's the way it is, after you present facts. Think about doing this show for a while. I remember Walter Cronkite and a lot of people would say, and that's the way it is. You know, they presented their stories and that's the way it is. After I did the interview with Mike Marsicano, who ran for Congress, I needed a person, you know, I know Mike many years, a person who is not afraid to tackle things, not afraid to look into facts. Now, remember what I said, facts. So I called Mike. I said, Mike, I'd like to talk to you about a show. And we're going to call it That's the Way It Is, you know, different things. And we sat down and we discussed a number of things. And Mike's my guest today, and I want to introduce this show to the general public. And it'll be starting hopefully within 30 days. Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Nice to be here, Sam.
And have a little hoarse throat. Hope it gets better for the show.
I got a little draft when I was fly fishing the other day on the Pine Creek.
So as I said, Mike, we talked about doing a show like that, and you know, you need somebody who has, whether you like a person or not. It's we're trying to make our society better. Awareness of what's going on, but we're showing this in areas that maybe people don't know who you really are and what your background is. Just give us a little background of who Mike Marsicano is.
Sure. I was born and raised here in Hazleton. I attended Locust Street initially and Our Lady of Grace, Day Harmon and Hazleton High School, a great building up on the hill up there on 9th Street. After high school, I went on to the National Guard. I spent 6 years in there. And during that time, I enlisted in the Pennsylvania State Police. I went through the academy in Hershey in 1971. And so I spent a few years on the road. I was on the executive detail with then Lieutenant Governor Ernie Klein during the Schaap administration. And in the last few years I was in the state police. I flew one of the helicopters, one of the 6 Jet Rangers we had. In those days, we were the guys doing the EMT work. The hospitals didn't have those medical hospitals or medical helicopters at the time. So I finished up there in the state police, and I was actually, I wanted to fly more than I wanted to fly the helicopter. So I happened to be at the right place at the right time and got hired by Continental Airlines. And it was a result of the Pennsylvania State Police flying that I had done. One of the people, Max Jackson, who was interviewing that day, and Bob Lemon, they were both from Pennsylvania and familiar with the Pennsylvania State Police. So I owe that, my career to the Pennsylvania State Police, actually the oldest state police agency in the United States, the first one, and the reputation they've maintained since their inception. So I owe a great deal to the Pennsylvania State Police. And I spent 22 years with the Continental Airlines. I retired as the International 767 wide-body captain. I was flying during 9/11. I was chosen by Homeland Security, went up to a discrete facility to train. We didn't have enough U.S. Marshals on the airplanes at the time. So I was one of the pilots that was armed with specific instructions, and we're going to probably talk about some things like that today, where actions require circumstances that sometimes people don't like to talk about. But in those days, after what happened in 9/11, another U.S. carrier was never going to be taken. And so they armed people that had military background or police background like I did, and knock on wood, we've never had a problem since. And I've always had a few businesses on the side. During that period of time, I was the mayor of Hazleton for 4 years, and I had a greenhouse business in Hazleton and several other businesses. So I'm kind of semi-retired, still do some flying.
Wow. You know, as we talk, you know, and you're telling me some of these stories, it's like, wow, you've been around, okay? You've certainly been around. Why go into politics? What was your interest in politics?
Well, you know, that happened to me a long time ago. I was a young guy in my 20s, and Jimmy Palermo, the attorney, everybody knew Jimmy Palermo. He was everybody's attorney at the time, along with Attorney Duffy and some of the other great attorneys we had in Hazleton. But he took me to a meeting, and they were looking for a school board candidate. And I got appointed, and I ran. I got clobbered. I ran against Pat Capice, actually. Good friend. Graduated with my mom.
Yeah.
And but you know, there was something about it. It was something about the challenge, because it is a challenge that kind of stuck in my craw. And through the years, you know, things have happened in Hazleton, in the state, and in the United States are occurring right now. You get frustrated sometimes, and you know, maybe I drink a little different water than somebody else does, but I wanted to do something about it. Mm-hmm. And so I just ran for Congress. I lost the race, and but you know, our country is not the same country I grew up in. There are no consequences for people's actions anymore. You know, and I'm a law and order guy. I was an MP in the military and the state police and a federal agent when I flew for the airlines. I don't like what's happening in our country. And I don't believe anybody does. And there doesn't seem to be any answers to what's going on today. That shooting with 19 kids in Texas. And, you know, things need to be done to protect America. And it starts with our schools. Consequences. These people need to be neutralized. They need to be killed when they're on the grounds with a gun. And not to get long about this, but my background is law enforcement, and had happened to us and my partner, Joe Zeller. Joe Zeller was a trooper in Reading at the time, and somebody took a school bus full of kids. Joe got on the scene and killed them dead and saved all those kids' lives. I don't know what happened there with those 19 babies and the 2 adults, but it's my prayers are out to all those people, the parents and the grandparents and aunts and uncles. We must do better than what we're doing to protect our kids in school.
You know, Mike, when we grew up, as well as many, many people in northeastern Pennsylvania, across the United States, we grew up with values. We grew up, we went to parochial school, parochial school. But other than that, even if the people who didn't go to parochial school, private school, I remember born and raised in Partysville, and Sunday mornings you saw everyone walking to church, whether they're Protestants, Catholic, or Jewish. You see people that had a faith, and you had morals. You had people that understood and respected everybody, okay? As time goes by, as we see, is more and more people are becoming secular. They don't have the foundations. They don't sit around dinner tables like we used to. And what'd you do? And you got your fanny slapped if you did something wrong. Okay, you didn't. So there was that appreciativeness of human beings and of respect of human beings. Well, if you take that out of society, this is only my opinion, Mike. If you take that out of society, and you have Hollywood hammering you of all sorts of things that are not family oriented, are not to be religious, but they're destroying, you know, the moral character, okay? And they continue to pound this. You watch Netflix, you watch HBO, you watch these different things. Yeah. They just destroy the nature of society. Then you have abortions. You know, kill as many unborn babies as you want. They have no respect for life. Well, then you have a person who has some serious mental problems or concerns. What value does he have or she have? You know where I'm going here?
Well, yeah, well, there's no pushback. There's a great conversation, whether it be in the print media or on television or on the radio. But what we want to know, what you and I want to know, and the people want to know is, what are you prepared to do about it? As a school director, as a police officer, as an elected official, what are you prepared to do about these kids being slaughtered right now? That's what we're talking about right now. This happened, you know, I mean, I was basically almost in tears when I saw this. And, you know, my question is, what are we prepared as a society to do about it. I mean, the progressive people in this country, and I don't want to make it political, Joe Biden and the Democratic Party are destroying this country. Boys were boys and girls were girls when I went to high school. And Our Lady of Grace and D.A. Harmon. A man who was born a man swimming as a woman doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not a journalist. I don't have anything to hide to come on your program and tell these people. We're sick and tired of it. And there's a lot of us that are watching this are sick and tired of it. But who is prepared to do something about it? Sammy, what I'm getting at is this. People should be able to live their lives in America. It's still land of the free and the home of the brave. If somebody has a different opinion about something, fine. But I, as an American, don't have to adhere to it. I believe that there was a man and there's a woman. I believe that if you take a gun and go to a school, you shouldn't be accosted and be given the Miranda warning. I mean, if you show up on a property with a gun, you should be neutralized immediately. Society in America is not the same society you and I grew up in. That's what you were talking about, coming from parties.
Yeah. How did we, in this country, let the minority radicals, who have no respect for life, no respect for the country, and how did we allow that to happen, just that minority, when you have a vast amount of people that think the way we think, that just live and live? How does that happen?
We, the people, didn't allow that to happen. The 535 people in Washington allowed that to happen.
How do we then, we see this, And if you read the mission statement and of the Democrat Party and read it of the Republican Party, just read the mission statement. That tells a story right off the bat, Michael.
Well, yeah.
It tells a story right off the bat.
I think the difference today, society has changed. We know that. It changed from the 40s and the 50s when we were growing up in the 60s. The music changed. The social norms changed. But, the American flag didn't change.
No.
I Pledge of Allegiance didn't change. Yeah. The police didn't change. The police are in defense of their job right now. We're having a problem with so many police retiring because they're not being allowed to be police officers anymore. If they go after the cop and not the perpetrator of the crime here. And that needs to change. And people that are supposed to represent us need to do something about it. So I think it's time, it's long overdue, that people start to push back with our elected officials. We need to start paying attention because our country is not the country. It is not the America that you and I grew up in anymore.
Folks, I'm talking to Mike Marsicano. He'll be the host of the news show. We're starting SSP TV, and that's the way it is, talking about facts. This is a show that stimulates a little bit. And yes, there's, a matter of opinions. But, as Mike mentioned many years ago on my show, facts are stubborn things, my friends. I'm in the bank the other day before I go to break, Mike, and there's the two ladies are talking, and one lady said, "Isn't this a disgrace? What's happening with our gas and energy and the inflation?" And the one lady said, "Well, this didn't happen today. This happened back when the Trump administration was in." And I'm saying, well, look. That's how people become brainwashed, Michael.
Absolutely.
They become brainwashed, and you don't want to have an argument. But when you look and see when a man's running a business or a woman's running a business, and if it's successful, and then someone else takes over and it goes down the tubes, do you blame the person who I don't understand this.
Well, that's what history books are for. They should listen. They should look at Reagan, then they should look at Bill Clinton, then they should look at Bush 41, then Obama. Then the other Bush, Obama, excuse me, Bush, then Obama, and then Trump. Yeah. And then you could come up with an answer. But don't tell me people don't like Trump. Fine, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Yeah. When Trump was here, gas was $2 a gallon, and there was plenty of Gerber baby food around, I might add, on the shelves. unheard of today. So, I mean, we don't want to be political, and we're not going to be political.
But you see, you have to be political. Saying I'm for, Muser, Cart, they've been on my show. I'm sure we have to look at what can we do to make our country better, and that's what I'm hoping the show does. Let's make us think a little bit. We're going to take a break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, ssptv.com. You can watch all of our shows, YouTube channel. All of our neighborhood programs are there. We're adding a new show to the list, and it's called And That's the Way It Is. All right, and they're going to be hosted by Michael Marsicano. Mike has a huge background. I mean, amazing. We don't always agree on things, Michael and I, but however, this is a show that I think will bring us to think a little bit. And that's what we want them to do, Mike, is at least, talking about current situations, I'm sure you're going to have some guests on, right?
Oh, yeah, but not being afraid to think or voice your opinion in America, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm looking at a few people already right now to have on the show with us, absolutely.
What would you like people to get from the show, and that's the way it is? Because I know when I do my show, I always ask the person, when the show is done, what would you like our viewers to get from it? What would you like our viewers to get from the show?
Well, I'd like for them to understand that the people that we bring on your show here, or what we're talking about, deals directly with the American people. This isn't international marketing. We're concerned about the needs of people today, of raising their families, being safe in their home, being able to buy formula for their children, being able to buy gas that's $8 a gallon. And why is this happening? So we want to talk about not what the newspapers are talking about, not what some of the other talk hosts are talking about. We want to know what people are prepared to do about the current situation in America today.
You travel a lot, okay? What in the different areas that you land in the United States, other than out of the country, when you're landing and you're doing business or whatever, what kind of sense you get from the different areas? Is like northeastern Pennsylvania different than Dallas, Texas, or California, or are they different?
I mean, geographically speaking, yeah. Of course, they're different. The climates are different. The people are not different. You could be in a Dunkin' Donuts or a Perkins or any restaurant that you like to name, and the conversation would be the same. After you get seated and somebody asks you want to drink, and you can hear the conversation. I can't believe that gas is cut. I can't believe that my grandson can't get baby food for his daughter. When's this going to end? What's this stuff about these kids getting shot in the schools? I don't understand what binary sexuality is and CRT being taught to our kids in school. This is the conversation. Because I still do some flying across the country and sometimes a little out of the country, but the conversations are the same. And people are concerned. And they need to be concerned. But we, the people, deserve the government we get. Yeah. We, the people, deserve the government we get. And we have to make sure that the people that want to represent us are going to represent us when they go to Harrisburg or they go to Hazleton or Scranton or where they're elected. They need to start showing up and telling us, what are you prepared to do to remedy this situation? I mean, right now, the price of food and gas, the inflation rate, it's not 8, 10, or 12, 15%. It's 50%. What it costs for a gallon of gas now from $2 to $6, it's more than 50%. The food right now, a dozen of eggs, $5. I saw the president on television this morning, and he said, in so many words, that there's no easy fix for this. This isn't going to be corrected. I mean, he needs to resign. He needs to resign. He is crippling this country.
But why are they allowing him to do that?
He's in cognitive decline. You could talk to any medical person, even a lay person. We know there's something wrong with the guy. Listen, he's our president. I understand that. It is the greatest nation in the world, second to none. United States of America and the people that make it America. But this person right now, what is on display here is what is on display in America. We are allowing this to happen. Where are both sides of the aisle?
Yeah, I mean,
both sides of the aisle. He's destroying our country.
you know, Michael, I pray for him every day. He's in my prayers every day.
As millions of people
Yeah,
do.
because you know, I'm sure he has family, etc. But getting to the guns, when these things happen and you hear these sad things, the first thing you hear is they should get rid of all the guns. They should get rid of the guns, and that's a logical reply. You know, because you say, you know, get rid of them. Okay. How do you react to that?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, look at Chicago. You want to talk about a bellwether, a barometer, a high water mark? They have dozens of people killed every weekend. More red flag laws than you. It's the most restrictive city in America, and they have more killings than anybody. It's not the guns. It's not the guns. It is enforcing the law. It is enforcing. Yeah, there's a medical problem in this country. We talked about this earlier. When we were in school, and during November up here in the Northeast was a big hunting day. The kids would come to school, they'd hunt afterwards. There'd be guns in their cars, guns everywhere. Nobody was getting killed in schools. What's going on with society?
That's
the
it.
Kids today, there's no more interaction between one another.
That's it.
We're in I guess, electronic renaissance with the advent of the computer and the iPhones and what can be said, you know, electronically. And I don't think the kids spend enough time with one another or their parents. And listen, when it comes to the kids, they're all born innocent. My daddy told me that a long time ago. Every child that is born into this country, they're innocent. And it's the responsibility of the parents to usher them along the way. And that's what you have. This 18-year-old guy that took that gun and went in there to kill, his deal was he was going to kill a bunch of people today, period. And what I'm talking about here with you today is, and the issues we want to talk about, what are we prepared to stop that from? What do we have to do to preclude that from happening? You know, people don't take airplanes anymore. They can't. You know, they don't rob the banks at the frequency that they're doing with killing people in this country. Movie stars, Major League Baseball, the NFL, they have people with guns all over those stadiums to protect those players, those professional athletes. Yet, we don't have the resources to protect our kids. Let me tell you something. It's not the kids' fault that they're getting killed, and it sure as hell ain't the teachers. And here, let me expand that on a minute. You know, I'm all for having guns. I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I'm a big hunter. I've hunted all over the world. It's not guns that kill the people, obviously. And you cannot charge the teacher with the responsibility of taking on one of these lunatics. Understand? They need to be neutralized before they get on the property. You know, if a school teacher wants to learn how to handle a gun, we can teach them how to handle a gun, how to open the gun, clean it, hit a static target at 7 feet away from you. When somebody comes in there with a gun, any kind of gun, and points that gun at you or at the kids, you're not going to know what to do. You need a specified team of people, a rapid response team. That's what it's come to save our babies. And they need to be neutralized on the spot. He should have been put down as soon as he put his foot on the property. Now, people looking at this and say, and you're going to let him host this program, is he crazy? No, I'm not crazy. You know, I went through the State Police Academy. I went through the military school in Gordon, Georgia. These people are coming here to do no good. Yeah. They're going to kill. They don't need to be given the Miranda rights.
Yeah. When I watch, I sneak in. When I say sneak in, because my wife does not like when I'm watching these shows, because I get riled and I get upset and I want to go to the TV, and she's right, you know. But no, I think, Michael, you know, when you look at and that's the way it is. We talk about facts. These are facts we're talking about.
Yep.
This is something, you know, and the persona of Sam Lesante or Mike Marsicano or the guests we have, we have personas. But the point is, let's look at what is being discussed and what we could do, okay? And I think you know, that's the way the show is going to run. As long as we're, as they say, fair and balanced.
Yeah.
You know, and if someone says I disagree, Planned Parenthood, I've invited since 1994, Michael. I'm a pro-life guy from A to Z, and very seldom will you hear a host on television. But however, there's no question about it. But Planned Parenthood, if you want to come on my show, You will sit there and I'll shut up, and you could tell me why you think it's okay to destroy to kill an unborn child. Okay, you know, I'm trying to say, I'm giving them that opportunity.
Absolutely, and they're free to disagree with one another.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's what our country's all about. But when it's costing lives, when it's costing the destruction of our country, then what are you prepared to do about it? Yeah. What are we prepared to do as a society to protect our America? Our forefathers paid the freight here. Whether it's the First World War, the Second World War, or Korea, they paid the freight. We owe it to them.
You know, in this memo you sent to me, there's a lot of interesting things that he's going to discuss, energy, et cetera, et cetera. But I think Mike's be looking at a show that we're going to be able to have you think about different things. And my friends, we have to look at some things and respect our neighbors, respect our friends. We always agree to disagree as long as it's civil. It's when it does not become civil that hurts, Mike. You know, you have to be, but I may disagree 100%, but however, we still are able to communicate. I'm looking forward to the show.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be a good show, my friends. I guarantee you that. Remember, my email is sam@ssptv.com. Always welcome your opinions. We'll see you next time.